All right, welcome to the video here. Micah here for a minute, just for a few minutes talking about the concepts of what it goes into, getting more business, right? More sales, right? I think that a lot of people can have the wrong idea of what it takes to get more sales in a lot of businesses, right? A lot of people have the idea of selling, and that might imply to them convincing someone of something. And yeah, in a sense, it's that, but in my opinion, it should be about education, right? So if someone really sees that a decision is objectively a better decision, you shouldn't have to convince them so much, right? It should be kind of self-evident. So, it's about educating people about what you have, what you're offering, right? And that means, you know, proposals. That means presentations, right? Presentations. So we underestimate the power of a presentation. We can fail to do enough presentations, right? We can also fail to acknowledge the law of averages, right? That can mean we fail to track. So in business, when we track, we can really measure our goals. We can see what we're shooting for. We can build backwards and reverse engineer a process and say, hey, well, bottom line, this is what needs to happen in order for this to happen, right? We can look at an averages. We can look at the total productive process, the total expenditure that goes into that, and account for that in the cost of our product or service, right? We want to make sure we're being, efficient and profitable, right, enough to continue your business, to justify continuing your business. So, where do you get that capital to start your business? Well, you're starting a business that's really going to require, a lot of venture. It's going to require a lot of research and development, or maybe going to find some resource in some, extreme area that's hard to get, or, just even like, getting oil or something like that. Obviously, there's going to be expenditure, there's going to be a bit of investment, and that might, right on capital investment, saying, hey, well, let me go find some investors and help me find some money for that. But at the same time, ideally, you have some kind of starter product, some kind of starter service, something you can use to develop that capital with. Maybe you start out with a smaller product or service in your industry that is a good seller that can help you get the capital you need together to go make that bigger investment in something that you ideally should be able to see as a profitable idea. You're investing your own capital, you're making your own risk and your own time, but at the same time, if you have a really good idea and you can sell it to investors, you can also do that as well. But you better have a really good idea. Let's put it that way, right? Otherwise you could be in a lot of debt. So the main thing is, like I said, finding out a way to be profitable as soon as day one, right? And how do you do that? Like I say, you got to have something you can deliver right away, right? Something you can deliver, a product or service that can be delivered right away, so you can get paid and have that money to, continue that process while developing you and more profitable processes that are in your fields of interest, more in your fields of interest, perhaps, right? Maybe you're in the industry you're wanting to be in, maybe you're not. And that's where you want to start saving capital, right? That and not so much that it's, you might invest that money into something that's more of a sure bet. If you're going to be holding on to capital for a while, maybe there's some kind of fund or bank investment or something like that, or interest that you can get. It might be better to put that money where it's tax free or something like that. But until you get that together, you're going to want to have a profitable way to reinvest that money. And that means, maybe having some kind of business, right? Some kind of business where you can regularly move merchandise or product or service, right? Even just a cleaning business can be pretty profitable, usually a low startup. But maybe you move into wholesaling or whatever. But, you have to have a way to market, right? What is that marketing strategy, right? If you don't have people that are fully educated on, a product or service like yours, or even more specifically, your specific product or service and why it's better than the competition, then, that needs to happen, right? So how is that going to happen? You have to have advertising and marketing campaigns of different kinds. But one of the most effective ways is word of mouth, right? Word of mouth. And essentially what that means is personal direct selling, right? Individuals going out and meeting other people and sitting down with them or having some kind of presentation and just directly consulting with them about maybe any needs that they have and helping them obtain that product or service. Maybe it's something simple, like you're selling burritos at a burrito stand, and it's pretty straightforward product or service, kind of a low ticket. As long as you're producing quality, you can probably make reasonable money. But maybe it's not a big seller because there's a lot of competition. Maybe there's people don't eat that type of food you serve as much. Maybe you need to charge more for these different things that can go into the reasons why it may not be as profitable as you like. Right, so you need to find out, you need to identify, you need to read the room in terms of, the market you're in or able to access, right, the market you're able to access. And, you can probably access nearly any market, but, obviously if you're far removed from a market, you probably want to have an arm of marketing that is familiar with that, more familiar with that market. Maybe you're in a more fundamental niche that's like, it appeals to a wider range. At the same time, you're probably going to want to know the cultural elements of that market. Like if you're selling in a different state or a different country or to a different set, like of, the Spanish as opposed to English speaking or something like that, you're going to want to understand the cultural traits that, that might be expected in that market for best results, right? You need to know how to not rub that market the wrong way, if that makes sense, right? And in my opinion, you don't really want to appeal too collectively to any one market. But let's face it, a lot of products have their niches because of whatever different reasons. People have different kinds of hair, people have different kinds of needs in their diets, whatever. So, there can be reasons why things might appeal to certain, the people, younger, young guys might drive fast cars where older people want to have a station wagon more, or stuff like that, right? So obviously you kind of maybe try to appeal to a niche. But another thing about marketing is really not prejudging for many reasons, right? For many reasons, because, like you said, people can refer others to you, right? People can refer others to you. Word of mouth can, travel to third and fourth and fifth degrees away from you, right? So it's important to not prejudge too much with many products and services. Not prejudge too much. So yeah, certainly have some marketing campaigns that raise awareness while maybe also being aware of the niches that you might appeal to with certain elements of your marketing, right? Maybe you go to homeowners with your straightforward direct selling campaigns like door knocking or flyers or something like that. Or maybe you go to business communities because your product might appeal to them, or software or legal services or something like that, right? Or homeowners, so it might be more appealed, like something like window cleaning or window replacement, or painting on their home, or add-on construction or something like that for home renovation, where the commercial market has different appeals, right? Where business owners, or people, women, men, just different categories of demographics that could apply. But some things are more universal, right? An automobile is pretty universal, but yeah, the brand might matter, right? A vacuum cleaner is a pretty universal product, but yeah, the style of vacuum might matter for the type of person. Some people like to have light equipment that's kind of fast and reasonably fast. Other people like to have more detailed or heavy duty type of equipment or vehicle. Or so yeah, you're looking at a market for does my market more outdoorsy type, or are they more like nouveau fashion type, or are they celebrity socialite types? So that might go into your marketing and advertising. Certainly, same time, don't be too dependent on high capital marketing and advertising. Like I said, word of mouth is such a big deal, so it's important to know how to develop a team, right? Develop an organization with talent of other types of people that can, hit those markets that you maybe aren't so personally able to connect with, if that makes sense. So that's the reason why it's good to not try to do everything yourself all the time, right? You want to think of fundamental, simple processes that are duplicatable, right? They're duplicatable and easy for people to grasp onto the concept. Let them get the little things. Give them the reasonably big things, Teach them nuanced little things, but teach them the bigger things as the fundamentals, like And for a salesperson, it might be 2 presentations a day, or some productive thing that they do consistently to move the needle, right? To move the needle, right? That you do consistently to move the needle in your business, and that means, mostly, income producing activities, right? Income producing activity means another presentation happening on your behalf about your product or services that are currently deliverable, right? That are currently deliverable, and you can process transactions for, however, whether it's cash in person or, merchant accounts online or whatever. Someone can pay you for your product or service. So it's important to have those fundamentals in place, right? Mostly for a lot of products and services, it's about having a point, obviously a deliverable product and a service, but also a point of presentation and a point of sale or transaction, right? A way for them to learn about your product and service. Maybe it's with the product and service right in front of them, like at a store demo or something like that. Maybe it's a commercial or something like that. Maybe it's a presentation with a flip chart or something like that. Whatever it is, it's a way for them to witness an overview of a presentation about this product or service, right? This proposal, if you will, right? And it even maybe has an ending proposal where it's inviting them to try the product or service. It's not just informative, but maybe in some ways it's just an informative type of marketing campaign you're doing. But is that really an income producing activity? That's like an awareness activity that could help your business, but really income producing activities come down to getting to whatever could possibly produce a transaction for you as soon as right away, right? What that means, but usually direct personal selling, right? Now, if you're maybe selling some stuff online, do you have as much control as if you're going like door to door? Probably not quite the same type of control, right? Or even level of control at all. Maybe it's very not, you don't have really much control. Maybe you can. Maybe you have some ways to turn up the traffic on your website or play some ads that is going to work or something like that. But, you might have quite the same control you do as if you're just going door to door or business to business or, something like that, right? You're actually going after your market, directly, right? Other times trying to draw your market in and trying to draw inquiry, like incoming calls, incoming leads, people to fill out forms, stuff like that. That's ideal, right? Maybe that's kind of a vague opening way to get people into your database, right? Your list, your contact list, your prospect list. And then after that, you're going for more direct marketing, like appointment setting, right? Or direct conversations or presentations and selling attempts, right? Closing attempts with your proposals. Can I invite you to the such and such family, etc., right? But if we don't, have anybody to talk to, right, we're never going to get to those direct selling situations. So, ask yourself, how are you contacting people? How are you trying to contact people? Are they able to reach you efficiently? Or if like someone calls you, are you answering the phone, or is someone answering the phone, or is there an automated process that handles it well? Do you have capacity, right? If 10 people place an order for your product or service, would you have 10 on hand? Do you have inventory, right? So these can kind of go into some capital, right? At the same time, you might not be thinking so big that you make too much of a crazy move with too much money, too much time and resources, right? Maybe do 2 or 3 test options and go for what seems to be most effective, right? At the same time, testing 50-50 with 2 other options, seeing which one of those 2 works most effectively. Doing a rotation of testing a little bit with a couple, 2, 3, 4, or 5, maybe at the most campaigns. You don't want to get too shaken up, right? But if you have help, if you have people helping you, maybe you can do something like that, right? Or you're able to, maybe you have the mind for it to track, a bit more in terms of like marketing campaigns, right? Marketing campaigns, right? And marketing, but like I said, getting right to the most fundamental element, the direct selling, or where transactions are actually being done. Is your website set up where someone can actually buy the product or service and you can ship it to them or deliver it to them in some way or another, right? If you don't have that ready to go, obviously you're not ready to do a transaction, you're not going to be making any money, right? So, and that's what capital investors are going to be looking at as well. I mean, how do you plan to do this business? Well, what's the method of transaction to get this money that you're going to get back for this business? That's what they want to hear, right? So certainly they don't want to hear how soon they can expect to get, their investment back or profits to see from that investment, right? And what is the realistic path towards getting that profit back, right? So if that's the route you're going for bigger investments, like you said, I like to think of, hey, starting from scratch in many ways, start with something that you can do to personally bring profit, some kind of direct sale type of business. Maybe you have another job or something like that that's holding you over while you're building some other business or something. But the main thing is, being consistent with your business, right? So not just because you have a side business, treating it like a hobby, but treating it more like a business, right? And that means treating it like time blocks of focus time, working on that business, whatever it is, right? But direct selling, this is really a pretty powerful way to start generating income. Most people are not really willing to do it very much and very effectively. I wouldn't say that they're not capable. I think most people are capable. It's kind of a matter of being highly teachable when we're first learning things about business, because it's a people relationship type of thing, right? What is your relationship with your prospect? What is your prospect's relationship with you and your business? How do they perceive it, right? How do they perceive it? Do they perceive it as a trustworthy standby business that's always got a good price or a good bang for the buck? Do they see it as a business that's always available, always around, has good customer service? Do they see it as a business that's always on time with their delivery, or they always how do they perceive your business, right? So that's a factor that you're going to certainly always want to consider. But if you're taking action consistently, most people can sense your business, right? You're taking action, you're working your business. They take you seriously because they see you're working your business. You take your business seriously. They will want to do business with you in many cases more because of that. So that means, building momentum in your business, right? And that means taking a lot of massive action. It means working very hard on your business, whatever your business is, right, to explode that business, right? That means, maybe going not too large with, like I said, with any one thing, but at the same time, putting a bit into those campaigns you're doing, giving a good effort before giving up and moving to something else. Not giving up, but altering your strategies, right? You're not going to give up, right? You're going to alter your strategies sometimes. You're going to tweak your strategies, right? Sometimes even try a whole different strategy. Sometimes it might happen, right? That could be a little bit of a tense moment when you say, oh, wait a minute, let me scrap something I've been doing for a while, or I put a bit of effort to in for a while, and all of a sudden try something. Maybe this is totally different. Maybe this is totally better. Or maybe it won't be as good. Taking a chance here, right? So that's where, you want to think wisely and, be reserved in your decisions. It's kind of a lot of times trust your first intuition. If it doesn't sound like a wise idea, probably better not really do it, right? You make sure you have a backup test plan before you try something new. Maybe you're trying a different new technology for your business, new phone service or something like that. And I've had situations like that where you buy a new computer and you're hoping it's going to replace your old one, but all of a sudden you don't have some feature, and it's like, wait a minute, this process is more complicated or harder, So, like you said, you try to always, keep your backup plan in place, a plan B, and even a plan C, right? You think about a system for, like internet companies, they have to keep their websites up all the time. They have to have a backup plan for their servers, right? You want to think of a backup plan for the server of your business, right? The serving of your product or service. So we have a couple backup plans, and that might go into diversifying your income a little bit, right? Not necessarily so crazy that you can't keep track of stuff, right? But at the same time, 2 to 5, at least a couple of sources of income, but really more like 3 to 5, in my opinion. Have a main focus, a bread and butter that you really put, most of your blood, sweat, and tears into, that's most profitable, but also the one you like to do the most as well, right? So it's kind of a combination of that. But at the same time, trying a few different things, being open-minded, right? Thinking a little bit outside about being flexible, right? Diving deep into something new for a brief period of time at least to get pretty versed with it. Maybe you don't get totally great with it at first, but going back and practicing some simple thing, like video editing or something is something you're trying to learn, which I'm certainly not good at and don't do, and but it's something if you wanted to dive deep into it yourself, maybe get into it for a week and just try to spend 15 to 30 minutes learning something new about some new program or something like that. And before you know it, you're kind of a little bit more of an expert in that thing, right? And then that can help you. So anyway, I'm just rambling for a few minutes, but Mike here for appreciate you listening in. Maybe you get something out of this concepts for expanding or starting a business, right? Or expanding a business where for a lot of people, I think that for a lot of people, it's all about boldness, right? Are you bold enough to do what it takes? Are you bold enough to start that next meeting? Are you bold enough to make those phone calls? Are you bold enough to knock on that door, or that house or business? Are you bold enough to make your proposal? Are you bold enough to ask for the order? Are you bold enough to ask the right prospect that can definitely afford your product or service, right? Is that, it all goes into just desire, right? The level of desire you have. Do you hustle from prospect to prospect to get more presentations done? Or do you put on a reasonably good marketing campaign that's got some good simplistic direct elements like, hey, call me right now for an estimate, stuff like that, and just getting, your prospect in front of a presentation about your product and service, and maybe actually delivering a product or service and doing a transaction where you're making a profit to where you can continue growing your business, right? And putting that profit back and just paying yourself first too is like paying yourself first is important. Giving yourself a reasonable amount of spending money, personal money, and even budgeting your overall expenditures for the month. Overestimate maybe a little bit and try to really organize your time to where you can focus on being productive enough to get well over that expenditure for the month, so that overall you can just pay your bills easily, right? You can pay all your expenses easily, and being wise about spending. At the same time, don't cut too many little corners. Step over $1 to save a dime, right? Don't be stepping over $1 to save a dime, right? Ask yourself, what's the overall most productive thing that I could be focusing on and doing with most of my time, right? Try to do that with most of your time. And that's probably going to mean focus, right? Focus on one thing, right? With most of your time. So focus is going to be a very important thing. Focus and desire, right? And then also urgency, right? About resolve, just making it happen. Right, inviting 10 people to that next interview orientation that you're going to have for a position about something in your business, or or a proposal about a product or service in your business. Or, it's like if you're selling cars. I mean, are you just sitting and waiting around for whatever traffic the dealership is drawing in with their ads, or are you also making some calls and some business cards while you're at lunch and handing out some business cards? Hey, call me if you need a Chevrolet, or you're looking at Chevrolet, or whatever it is that you're kind of getting the word out, but also maybe setting some direct appointments. Hey, I'm going to be around here a lot. I'm going to have some new inventory, and maybe you or someone has been looking at these new models of such and such, and it would be an honor to have you come down and check them out. And, maybe take a quick test drive or whatever it is you're doing there. Maybe you're getting urgent about it, you're getting excited about it, and you're just going on and, hey, you're not necessarily going with the salesy mindset, but it's an enthusiasm mindset, a controlled enthusiasm to some degree, but at the same time, not necessarily too controlled. Don't be a secret agent, right? Don't be a secret agent. Make sure people know what you do, right? But at the same time, you can give them the opportunity to ask you more, to ask you a question. Then you can say, well, if you have a few minutes, I can tell you all about it. Or I can say, if I sent you a such and such description about it, would you watch it or something like that? Get them into a presentation, right? If they ask you a question, that's a good reason to ask them a closing question about a presentation. If you have a few minutes, I can give you all the information on it. If I sent you such and such, would it be okay to send you such and such description about what's included in such and such, or the features of such and such, right? So that's just getting permission as well. That's another thing too, as well, is getting permission from our prospect to continue right? Because that is a buying sign potentially, right? They give you permission, and you really kind of know that, hey, they probably know we're trying to sell them. We're not really trying to sell them something. We're trying to educate them about something that they potentially could buy. Right? We obviously would like to earn their business, right? But it's really about educating them about, hopefully, a wise decision that they can see that has some obvious reasons why it might make sense. You're showing them a real product or service, right? So that's the idea. It's a solution for your prospect, right? Are you offering real solutions? Or if you're in viable solutions, or are we just making a quick buck on a cheap product that doesn't really do much and gets a lot of returns and cancellations and stuff like that, right? So let's ask ourselves, are we in a good business? Are we in a good business? Something that really delivers on its promises of a solution or whatever it is, right? Maybe it's a simple business, simple product or service, like I said, just selling burritos at a burrito stand, something like that. It's kind of basic, or it's something more complicated, an insurance product or life insurance product or something like that, and you need a consultation and there's questions and so forth, more questions. So that's going to vary, right? Hopefully the reward is worth it, right? Only you can decide that it's something that you enjoy or is doable for you, but also is reasonably the max profitable for you based on what you want to do and be. Anyway, so those are my few concepts on the concepts of or ideas on the concepts of starting and growing any kind of business, right? But of course, I'm not like a master business person. I don't claim to have started tons of businesses, but one thing I can do a lot of times is be pretty successful in selling, right? So when you go to new businesses, you work for different companies or with different companies, I say also pick up on everything you see them doing that works, right? Pick up on everything you see them doing that works and try to execute them, right? To execute those things, duplicate them exactly as you see them working well. Is the things that you see working well, duplicate them exactly as you see them. And like I say, it's about always learning, right? Learning from other people that are more successful in business, right? Picking up on what they're doing and applying them, duplicating, executing them, because that's what you are in business. You are the chief executive, right? And you start maybe your LLC or something like that. You start a business and you can have yourself in business. You can have business going to your profits going to your bank account to where you can just manage it a little bit, and that way you pay your taxes on time, right? And just having a profitable business that you can continue and sustain, and can hopefully maybe even retire on. Anyway, Mike here for a few minutes with you. Let me know if you happen to listen to this ramble and it does anything for you. If you get anything out of it, I certainly appreciate you listening, and certainly encourage you to maybe check out any of the other videos I have on this platform, and maybe you'll get something out of one of those as well. And but yeah, maybe leave me a comment, of course, or a like or a share. It's always welcome. But until next time, we'll see you then. Have a good one. Bye bye.